Ladies and gentlemen, here is a quote. Obama says he didn't set a red line on Syria. That's the Weekly Standard with that quote. And then here's the original national security piece put out by the Washington Post. Obama issues Syria a red line warning on chemical weapons from the 21st day of August last year, over a year ago. Now, I know everybody knows that, but it just shows how they practice lying, knowing that you know they're lying, but just to try to break your will. Well, the difference is here, nobody's will's broken now. We know who you are. Remember Ronald Reagan criticizing the Soviet Union for its corruption, speaking out against them, talking about all the things they were involved in, how they were a corrupt elite, and how they collapsed? Now the world is pointing out that we have a bunch of corrupt scum here. That is what has happened, ladies and gentlemen. And everybody is seeing through what's going on. I have another article here where premiums are now set to raise 120+% in the next year on Obamacare. It was 53% so far this year. Now it's going to be 120+% by next year. And you're like, what's that to do with Syria? Ladies and gentlemen, Obamacare is written to bankrupt the country. And there it is, report, healthcare premiums to increase up to 125% in Wisconsin due to Obamacare. And it's similar numbers across the country. That's being reported by television, local news up there. That's what the government's telling them get ready for. Oh, that's going to help poor people. Oh, raise even poor people's payroll tax. When he promised, I won't raise your payroll tax, not your income tax. In fact, I'm going to cut it. I never said there was a red line. And now he has 7 major scandals going. Benghazi, Fast and Furious, NSA, persecution of the press, going after whistleblowers. The list goes on and on. 7 big scandals. And now they have the nerve, in a whole bunch of news articles and video clips I have today, to have Democratic congresswomen and others saying, only reason I'd vote to strike Syria would be loyalty to Obama. That's the District of Criminals non-voting delegate to Congress, Eleanor Holmes Norton, said. And then Chris Matthews, that 40-plus years in Washington, working for presidents, a scumbag race pimp, just absolute pile of steaming, inhuman trash, anti-American, anti-family, anti-gun. I mean, these are enemies. That isn't rhetoric. These are our enemies. These people are a criminal class. He comes out and says, we need to have this war to save Obama. They're so arrogant in their criminality. That's what criminals do. They always brag. That they're saying this will haul Obama's bacon for their power. They admit it's all a big lie to divert everybody so Obama could start a war that might lead to World War III.
I think the Democrats are going to be forced to sacrifice men and women who really, really don't want to vote for this. And they're going to have to vote for it to save the president's hide. That's a very bad position to put your party.
And some will say, oh, no, he's being honest there. No, he's saying what's going on. He's all for it. And then you've got all the rest of these people saying, I'll do it for loyalty. Hey, why don't you take your kids outside then and blow their brains out? Chris Matthews and the District of Criminals Congresswoman. I mean, I'm not saying literally do that, but you know what? I mean, if Obama said, march your kids outside, put a gun in their mouth, blow their brains all over the wall, would you do it? If Obama said go jump off a cliff, would you do it? And let me tell you, all these Republicans are telling us go jump off a cliff. I can't look at John McCain anymore. I mean, he's obviously completely mentally ill. John Kerry, these are flaming nutcases. And remember, what do you expect, folks? At Skull and Bones, ABC News got video of it that confirms what Charlotte Iserby leaked to Anthony Sutton, the congressional expert, congressional hearings. You know, Shelley revealed that a few years ago to us. And we went to her home, and she showed us the Skull and Bones memorabilia. Her father and grandfather were members of Skull and Bones, an elite family. And she leaked to Anthony Sutton what goes on in Skull and Bones that confirmed the break-in from over 100 years ago, what it confirmed. Do you know what goes on at Skull and Bones? Well, I have a family audience, so I can't say it. They have sexual rituals, some of the most ancient Egyptian rituals, where they believe they are possessed by entities, basically space aliens. When you're I don't believe this. Let's be clear. When you look at John Kerry, though, and his tomb mate, George W. Bush, and the rest of them, these are people that had gay sex hundreds of times in coffins, begging for spiritual entities to possess them. And you know what? Put John Kerry on screen. You know what? Put the video from yesterday. That's the really crazy one. I mean, you know what? If that's a case for possession, folks, I believe it. I mean, Hollywood should want to hire him to play the next Silence of the Lambs, because there's no actor that can look this whacked out crazy. I mean, take George W. Bush and all his weirdness. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, these are people that get in coffins hundreds of times and giant pits of feces and have sex with each other. And people go, oh, well, that's just fraternity fine. No, ladies and gentlemen, that's not what it is. And by the way, a lot of people that get tapped for it won't be part of all that. That's the higher level initiates. John Kerry, ladies and gentlemen, is a member of a satanic death cult. And no wonder he wants to start World War III. I mean, what do you call it psychologically? I mean, if you don't believe in these entities like they do, okay, it doesn't exist. Doesn't matter. They believe entities possess them in pits of feces. I mean, we have a Secretary of State who has asked entities to enter his body while having sex in large vats of feces with men peeing on him. They even made a movie, The Good Shepherd, about this. Robert De Niro produced it, and it was hailed as historically accurate, with men peeing on each other. I mean, I'm sorry, we have family audiences, but that's what they're doing. And how much more will we put up with these people? It is chapter 322 officially of the Illuminati, ladies and gentlemen. Founded by the Illuminati in 1832, on record. People make fun of me saying, oh, German death cults run the world. No, they're a big part of it, though. Doesn't even mean they're German. It means they've adopted a German death cults activity that's really Egyptian, which was the dark black magic elements of the priesthood in Egypt. These people follow a 4,000-year-old Egyptian death cult, okay? That's who's running things, wallowing in feces. That's what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. A Secretary of State that has had sex in giant vats of feces. And I dare the media to attack me on this, because that's exactly who they are. Go ahead, make fun of me, because it's all on record. And it's all come out, and go ahead and try to make me look crazy talking about that. I don't care. You're the ones that are crazy following these people. The only video they have of Skull and Bones is in the courtyard, screaming, death, devil equals death, oh, hell, I love you, devil. They have people that dress up in skull masks with crowns on, and then you worship the devil. And then the person playing the part of the devil, who believes they've been possessed by the devil, sits there and watches while man after man has sex with you. I mean, that's what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. You want the truth? Can you handle the truth? That's the big question here, ladies and gentlemen. These people are monsters. And that's what hit me last night, was I have been holding back. I know they're monsters. Why does Kerry look so weird? Why does he act so weird? Why do they lie? Why can't they help not lie? Why was Kerry about to collapse over and over again watching the testimony? Go back and review it from yesterday's testimony to the Senate. He's in the House today. He would have to, when they were talking, have to lean his head down and like put his hands on the table and just, because, I mean, folks, imagine he's been possessed by this stuff so long. like Aleister Crowley was. Can you imagine what it's like being under that? Thank God I'm among the living. Thank God I love life. Thank God I've got red blood and gusto and honor and courage and love of life and innocence. Man, it feels good to be on the side of good. I do not want to be a part of evil. These servants are evil are jokes. Let me tell you something. I said this to the crew earlier today, and they said, well, you got to say that on air, but it's true. Evil ain't cool and evil ain't fun. And the path of evil lives in the heart of all of those that serve evil. And what was my full quote? You said it was good. It was a quick quote. You said we ought to make a liner out of it. Evil isn't good for you, bitches. I think that's what I said. I mean, it's just elementary. To use a modern parlance, excuse me, but I mean, that's what's going on here. This is not fun. You don't want to shine on to this. Beelzebub's here to destroy things. And again, even if you don't believe in it, our leaders are part of groups. It came out in mainstream news that Tony Blair every morning is possessed by the spirit of the light and falls down on the ground and flops around on the ground. That's mainstream British news. And his wife is an admitted witch who does rituals with him. And he spends most of his free time flying all around the world doing weird rituals. So did Francois Mitterrand. Look that up. The pyramid at the Louvre, the pink pyramid, the pink and gold pyramid, has 666 pieces of glass. And Mitterrand said the idea was beamed to him by Lucifer when he was on a sacred mountaintop. Well, let me tell you, what Lucifer's beaming to you isn't good, and I don't want to be run by Lucifer. Comprende? I don't want to work for El Diablo or the skinny one, the Grim Reaper, any of it. I choose God. I choose Jesus Christ. I choose life. I don't choose death. Those of you that worship at the dark altar of it. I know I'm preaching. Let me just go over the headlines, then we'll go to more of these clips. Okay? We've got Ted Cruz, U.S. not an Al-Qaeda's Air Force. Cue that up. I want to play that in a moment. But before we go back to those clips, let me just give you some of the headlines here, ladies and gentlemen. Washington Times, Kerry holds objectors responsible for any future atrocities in Syria. When they started the whole thing and have been running the whole thing for 2.5 years, they're blaming it now on us. I mean, you got to love that. That's just too rich. Like if somebody ran their car into you running a red light and then got out and blamed you. McCain's playing poker during all this. It's a big joke to him. Just total mental patient. They asked him how many houses he owns. He didn't know. Nothing against owning things, but they don't even care. They don't even know. Democrat Congresswoman, only reason I'd vote to strike Syria would be loyalty to Obama. Syrian conflict opposition leader, the real opposition, criticizes plans for U.S. intervention as satanic to destroy the country. Even the real opposition that's genteel and doesn't like Assad for good reasons, just like Syrian girl's family. The real opposition says this is pure evil. Don't do it. That's Huffington Post. Jerusalem Post. Russia suspends delivery of S-300 missile systems to Syria. Putin says if you can show evidence he used chemicals, he will agree to the strike and might even help. But instead, no Western media wants to talk to Vladimir Putin. By the way, Obama isn't trying to talk to the Russians. It's come out in the news, but I've been told by our Russian sources as well, high-level Russian media, high-level, that the Russian government is in bunkers, they're on nuclear alert. That's actually come out, and that they know about the Western elite, and they're actually freaked out, and that no one diplomatically will even talk to them now. You know, the diplomatic phones, all of it's dead. And nuclear weapons are being massed in the Middle East. Let's continue here. Rand Paul demands Obama adhere to Congress on Syria. Absolutely. Article by Paul Watson up on Infowars.com. Infowars.com. Also, Ron Paul gets cut off by CNN. We have that video up on Infowars.com. Will Congress reject Obama's attack on Syria? Infowars.com. Very important breakdown there. President Bashir al-Assad's full interview translated into English on Infowars.com. And he says, first off, you've just got to show evidence we did it. We didn't do it. You're setting us up. It's a frame-up. And it just continues. New polls out with the vast majority of Americans, ABC News poll, opposing military strike on Syria. Now, getting into the really important news on Syria. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Dempsey, can't say what U.S. is seeking in Syria. And he went on to say he doesn't know why this is going to happen. Because Dempsey said on record it's a bad idea. David Cameron rules out any further military action in Syria, even if there's new attacks. He's now said they're not going to be part of it. And you know why? Because they're not insane and they love their children. And they understand that Iran and Syria are going to launch missiles at Israel, and then there's probably a 50-50 chance, most estimates are, that Israel's going to start nuking people. And then, folks, the minute nukes detonate, it's over. Do you understand? It's over. But these power-tripping, demonically possessed globalists who literally bathe in feces want to bathe us in fire while they go down in their bunkers and laugh about it. Because they are psychopaths. They are nutcases who all need to be arrested immediately. But remember, none of this is their fault. It's all our fault, as Kerry said. Andelson, Bloomberg reports, new Obama ally as Jewish groups back Syria strike. The lobbyist and billionaire that gave $70 million to defeat Obama last year in the elections is now getting behind Obama, saying he needs to attack. Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a really, really great idea. And it just goes on and on and on, ladies and gentlemen. And meanwhile, everybody in America is still obsessed with last week with Hannah Montana or whatever idiot name is now, Miley Curtis or whatever, bending over and being humped on. And again, folks, if adults want to watch that stuff, that's their business. This stuff is targeting young girls. The satanic stuff in the videos aimed at preteen youths is absolutely out of control. Just like the sex education that Obama's pushing for 5-year-olds, teaching them how to, well, I can't even say it to an adult audience. I mean, just you name it. They're pedophiles. They're devil worshippers. But we put up with it. Well, they're the federal government, and they say teach 5-year-olds how to have anal sex. And everybody's like, well, yeah, if you don't do that, you're racist. Obama's black. So it's okay. Let the pedophiles teach your kids how to do all this stuff. We'll be right back with the key news on the nukes being transferred.
Hello, this is Hank Hill, and I'm telling you what, you need to listen to Alex Jones.
Yeah. Infowars.com.
Judge, what is the secret of the universe?
Infowars.com.
By the way, Dave Mustaine's coming into town this weekend in Austin to play with Iron Maiden. And he's invited me out to hang out with those guys. And who knows, we might have an interview for you next week. Get Dave's take on all this. Dave of Megadeth, obviously. I love his new album, Super Collider. But, it's hard to even enjoy stuff like that when all of this stuff's going on around us in the world that could absolutely destroy all of our futures. I mean, I can't even make myself leave the office now, even though I want to be with my children more than anything, because they don't have a future if we don't stop this. And as soon as I start driving down the road, sometimes I turn around and come back and I think of all the things I need to do, all the things I need to say, all the messages I need to get out, because history's happening. What we're putting out is actually being picked up by all the other big talk show hosts, and more we see it being mirrored, and that is the essence of changing things, is the spirit of truth getting out there, and we're a big part of that, and all the glory goes to God, but it's very, very daunting. When I start the next hour, I'll get into our top story that's up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Exclusive, high-level source confirms secret U.S. nuclear warhead transfer and why this is such a big deal. And I wish this source wasn't so good and wasn't a witness to it and wasn't so confirmed. I mean, I just cannot believe I'm breaking news like this. This is just unbelievable. And it totally freaked out the military people and the police that were there. And if you don't know why, folks, it's because there was no signing for the warheads. These warheads just disappeared off into trucks down the road. and the base commander was there to authorize it. And there weren't even supposed to be nukes at this base. And I know I just got into skull and bones and all that, but I mean, look at the Masonic Lodge in Michigan they just busted with an orgy going on in it. That's nothing, folks. Those are women. Those are guys, you know, consenting adults. I don't agree with it, but that's nothing, folks. Those guys aren't going to get invited to the higher level stuff. Masons didn't do stuff like that in George Washington's day. The Illuminati took over the Masons. The Masons go back to Egypt and to the wizards who were not Satanist. Solomon picked up on that afterwards. So you had the main colleges, which were agrarian and science and math and architecture, but it was also religious. And then you have the secret cults within it, kind of like the Jedi and the Sith, you understand? And so the Masons tend to get blamed for what the Sith are doing, but it's actually that the Sith, to use that analogy, use the Masonic Lodge to recruit out of. And that's what George Washington wrote. You can read his letters against the Illuminati from 1889. He died in 1800. I go from memory. You can pull those up, National Archives. Signed by George Washington. Scans of them. He battled the Illuminati. This is real, ladies and gentlemen. This is real. And you don't get entry into these clubs unless you're part of it. I want to tell you about Infidel Body Armor. InfidelBodyArmor.com stops hundreds of rounds from AK-47 to M4, 30-06, 30-308, more. Ceramic only stops 6 rounds. This stops hundreds. They have all sizes. Level 3 armor, incredible pricing. Online catalog is amazing. InfidelBodyArmor.com or 888-608-6605. 888-608-6605. InfidelBodyArmor.com. And don't forget InfoWarsStore.com. Buy the books, the T-shirts, the videos, all the material, the Pro Pure water filters. That's what funds our operation. So fund us. Feed us.
Now you can watch the Infowars Nightly News streaming live as it happens for free.
Check it out at Infowars.com/show.